Welcome to Inside South Union Township here on the South Union Township Network. Brian Morozak being joined today by Bob Schiffbauer, South Union Township Supervisor, and Al Ambrosini, Fayette County Commissioner. Inside South Union Township is brought to you as a joint cooperative venture featuring Township Supervisors Bob Schiffbauer, Rick Fernan and Jason Scott, Atlantic Broadband Cable, Armstrong Cable, and our friends at CUTV, J.R. Wheeler and Gary Smith. Today we're going to be talking about recreation, tourism, and a new trail that's coming to not only Fayette County, but to South Union Township as well. And Al Ambrosini, I know you have been working very hard with your fellow county commissioners, Vince Zabatoski and Angela Zimmerling, on recreation and tourism over the last 4 years here in Fayette County. And a new project that's under development not only here in Fayette County, but in South Union Township is the new Sheepskin Trail.
Yes, that's correct, Brian. One of the things that a lot of the people don't know, that tourism is our #2 industry right here in Fayette County. And tourism, because it's our #2 industry, we have a lot of opportunities. And one of those opportunities are to expand our bike trails. Of course, everybody knows about the Great Allegheny Passage, that we have 23 miles of the Great Allegheny Passage that goes through Fayette County that goes along mostly the Allegheny River. That trail alone has brought in over, well, in the last statistics that we saw in 2013, it brought in nearly 1 million riders.
Wow.
Just in 1 year. I had just to give you an example, I had a meeting probably about 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years ago, with all the bed and breakfast owners in the Connellsville area. And they told me that over half of their business comes right off of the Great Allegheny Passage bike trail. And that's pretty remarkable considering that at that time it wasn't quite complete from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C. It was complete from Pittsburgh to Cumberland, Maryland. Now, since then, it is complete, so what that's going to do for us is going to increase the ridership. It's going to increase the business that comes through there. And so what we want to do is take the opportunity to maximize the tourism business that we can bring into Fayette County. And if we extend the Sheepskin Trail from the Great Allegheny Passage all the way to Point Marion and connect to the West Virginia bike trails, that's going to be a major increase in the business. Right now, the Sheepskin Trail actually does go from the Allegheny, Great Allegheny Passage to Dunbar Borough. And the next step is to, or the easiest part of the next step is to go from Dunbar Borough through Uniontown to South Union, and then eventually from South Union clear to Point Marion, because we do have some great trails, and Bob could talk about that in a little bit. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was, and I guess this was probably about 15 years ago, West Penn Power actually built a number of trails around Sheep Lake and put in some nice restrooms and picnic areas. So, going from even just Fayette County to Cheat Lake would be a nice day trip and spend some time on the lake. So, and I know that those trails are well maintained, and so, and then Bob, you might want to talk about
I think it just should back up a little bit. The whole concept and the idea of the Sheepskin Trail started back in 1997. We were introduced to this concept of the Sheepskin Trail, and the Sheepskin Trail the name is derived from the railroads many years ago would have difficulty with the sheep crossing or being on the railroad track. And I don't know how somebody equated that to using this as a trail, but that's the main theme of the the name of where it has come from, the Sheepskin Trail. But it runs 34 miles, as Al had mentioned, from the Great Allegheny Passageway to Point Marion. But we were approached, and all the municipalities were approached that runs that course, and the great, not the great, but the National Area Joint Corridor, Donna Holdorf, who's been working with this project for many years, and the county was involved back in '97 with this idea, along with other people from the state. So we plotted the course to our township as well as the other municipalities plotted the course. And that's where this whole thing started. Unfortunately, Dunbar is the only one that took advantage of it and constructed the trail from Connersville to Dunbar. It just happened that South Union Township, we were looking at getting involved with the Fort Gaddis homestead property, and we're working with the Fayette County Historical Society as well as some people from the state level. And we received a letter from one of our residents who's a biker and asked the township supervisors if we would consider doing something, a project regarding trails and bikes. So I think that's where the whole thing started with South Union Township. And then just going back on what we originally were introduced with the Sheepskin Trail back in '97, we took out the plans and tested them off, and we decided to move forward and attempt to have the Sheepskin Trail constructed running from South Union Township. It would run from basically the Bailey Park Cluss Lumber area and follow the old Penn Central Railroad. It runs through South Union Township in a southerly direction, and it runs to Redstone Furnace Road. From that point, it would run from the Redstone Furnace Road along Stadium Drive to Hutchison Park. And also, we would eventually, in Phase 2, do a spur trail that would run from the park along the bypass of Brownfield Road to the homestead, Fort Gaddis Homestead. And it's a three-pronged project, but I myself, I did not realize the economic impact, positive impact, that a trail project or a trail, the Great Allegheny Corridor Trail, the impact that Al just gave you some statistics here on the number of riders, but a study was done by the Laura Hounds Visitors Bureau and the Allegheny Trail Alliance back in 2007, 2008, 2009. In 2007 alone, the area which the trail went through, the Great Allegheny Passage, we saw an infusion of $31 million into the area. And just a year later, it went from $31 million to $40 million. And keep in mind, that was in a time when our economy throughout the United States...
It was pretty down everywhere.
Really tanked out. The portion that was not constructed of the trail to Pittsburgh, nor even back then it wasn't even open all the way to Cumberland. But since then, that you can get on a trail now, the usage of it has expanded substantially. And I know that far more than $40 million we're realizing now a year that's coming into this county. And we have to, and I think it's time to take advantage and using our project as somewhat of a catalyst. I know the county and now the other commissioners are very interested in trying to help us along here in South Union Township, and also the other municipalities working with the county to make this thing happen all the way from Connersville to Point Marion and maximize its potential.
If you look at South Union Township, it could actually be a major hub if you look at the hotels that are now developing in the area, and it also creates a direct link for your residents to have access to the passage.
And I'll just comment a little bit about how important the hotels are, because once the link from Pittsburgh all the way to Washington, D.C. was established about a year or so ago, that got the attention of all the bike tour companies. And what the bike tour companies do is they shuttle they round people up to take these tours, bike tours, and they shuttle the baggage, the luggage, from hotel to hotel while all you do is bike on the trail. And that's very important because, a lot of people like to take that type of a lot of people do that as a vacation.
Probably hard to carry everything on your back too if you're
Yeah,
riding.
and yeah, nobody wants to, and these days, nobody wants to go with a bare minimum.
Oh,
you
of
know.
course.
And they want to be comfortable, because I have to tell you, a lot of the people that take these tours these days are people that are retired.
They probably have some disposable
and
income.
have disposable income, and they want to be comfortable. They want to take advantage of the great scenery along the bike path. In fact, I've been on the trail along the Youghiogheny River, and it's just beautiful. Most of the trail is canopied with trees, and you have the view of the Youghiogheny River, wildlife. I mean, it's just a fantastic time to spend.
Yeah, can I interject too, about these tour groups backing up these bikers and help them? From the study done in 2008, 2009, almost 36% at that time were people who were coming in and staying for 2 or more days. And when you have people like that come in, they're spending more money. It's not like they're going to ride for a few miles and go home. These people are here to stay in for days, and which means more money into our economy.
And if you look at some of the hotels that have gone up or in the process of going up over around the Uniontown area, especially here in Fayette County, by far Uniontown now has the largest collection of properties that they might have to choose from.
Well, that's correct. And in addition to that, and if you look at the Laurel Highlands in general, and all the attractions that we have, most of those attractions are right here in Fayette County. We have the major attractions, Falling Waters. We actually have 3 Frank Lloyd Wright properties right here in Fayette County. We have a 5-star resort, complete now with a gambling casino right here on Route 40, and we have Fort Necessity, as Bob has already mentioned, Fort Gaddis. We have so many things for people to do. We're world known for whitewater rafting right on the Youghiogheny River, and so there's so many things to do right here in Fayette County, and by establishing a complete network of trails, bike trails, we can bring people in to stay for days, if not weeks or more.
And mentioning tourism, expanding beyond the concept of bicycle trails. I've done a lot of traveling throughout the world, and it is amazing when, in conversation with people from, it might be Europe or Asia, Australia, when they find out that I'm from Pennsylvania, you cannot believe the question I'm asked: do you live far from Falling Waters? It's amazing how important that architectural structure constructed by Frank Lloyd Wright, what it means. And when people throughout the world knows it, I think it's a treasure that we have in our county. And one other little example to show you how much we have, and I don't think that people in Fayette County realize what we have here. Historical significance, Nemacolin, the resort. It goes beyond that. This is a number of years ago. I was shopping with my wife over at Tanger when they opened. And I was at the food court, and actually I was worn out by her shopping, so I had to take a break. And I noticed that the Washington County had the Tourist Bureau where they had literature brochures. And I asked the lady manning it, and I said, can I have one of your brochures? I said, I was interested to see what Washington County had in the way of tourist attractions. And I went through it, and I'm going to tell you what, I was left with the thought in my mind, is that all? Comparing it to what we have in Fayette County, it's amazing. We do not realize the treasures we have. One more example is Friendship Hill, the Albert Gallen estate. I cannot tell you how many times in talking to people who have been born in this county, raised in this county, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you even mentioned Fort Necessity, Laurel Caverns, a lot of places certainly to go up in the mountains. And I think one of the things we kind of fall into, especially around here, is the fact that we get so comfortable and we don't take advantage of all of the tourism and the
Absolutely.
sites that we have basically 10 to 15 miles away from where we live. And I remember even growing up as well. I didn't grow up in Fayette County, But when I was in grade school, we would go on field trips to Fayette County
Yeah.
to see falling water, to see the battlefields, to go to Laurel Caverns.
Well,
and all of this is right in our backyard.
And like Al mentioned, it's our number two important most part of our economy. And that means we should maximize, take advantage of what the treasures we have here. And first, we have to recognize what we have and understands what it means, and also realize how much more we could do with it to further stimulate the economy in this county of ours.
Let's get back to the Sheepskin Trail. The big question is, what do we have to do to make this happen here in not only Fayette County, but South Union Township?
Well, I think as far as from what I experienced, is letting our legislators know, letting our governor know how important the projects are. We've applied for money here for our section of Sheepskin Trail. Two grant applications we submitted, one through DCED, that's for the planning and engineering. Hopefully when they get this budget impasse solved or worked out, we hope we'll be successful on that one. And then really the one that's most important, we've applied for over $300,000 for actual funds to construct the trail. What we would be able to do is work in kind of our match. It's a 50-50 matching grant program. And there are things that our work crew could do that we could minimize the financial drain from our coffers. And also we've applied through the county. That money could be used as part of our grant as well.
Now, Al, what does South Union Township have to do to work with the other municipalities, especially the neighboring ones, to make sure that it's going to be complete? Because obviously it's great to have it done in South Union Township, but if it's a trail to nowhere, that's obviously not going to help anybody out.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously there's a plan to connect from the Great Allegheny Passage all the way through to Point Marion. That's going to, and it's probably going to primarily, the direction is going to be from north to south. And as we already mentioned, it is complete to Dunbar Borough. And from there to South Union, that's going to be the next section. And it's actually going to be a fairly easy section to build because there's, because most of it will be along the rail line area, and there's no major bridges.
Yeah, it probably helps too, because it's not like when you're building a highway, especially through a populated community, you don't have to worry about redirecting the route that much or worrying about blowing up different walls or different areas there, just trying to create an area to pass through.
Yeah, and so from the cost perspective, there's a couple great sources that we actually have, and we can use those sources for matching funds for other grants. So, and one of those is, of course, the Laurel Highlands Visitors Bureau, hotel tax money.
Okay.
And so South Union as well as other areas can apply for grants to help with the Sheepskin Trail. And we've used some of that money for the Sheepskin Trail in the past, and we'll continue to do that. Another great source is, we're currently finishing up a gas lease with, the county is with Chevron at the German Township Masontown Park. It's about a 125-acre park, and so we've made an agreement to sell the gas under that park. And so that money, the commissioners set up a legacy fund, so that money is used, 2/3 of it will be used to improve the county parks. And 1/3 of that money will be used for the Sheepskin Trail, developing the Sheepskin Trail. And that's very important because that's going to be a steady source of revenue. Not only is the upfront money going to be used for that, the 15% royalties going on into the future will be available and used for the Sheepskin Trail. So,
And those will be paid out on a year-to-year basis, which could be used for maintenance going down the road even after the trail is completed, correct?
it can be, yes,
Okay.
but mostly, we want to use that money to build the trail
Okay.
initially.
I got you.
We want to complete the trail, and so we want all that will be capital improvements to complete the trail. Once the trail is complete, then we can.
Yeah, I just want to commend Al and the other commissioners for focusing in on the Sheepskin Trail. I think not to demean any of the bodies before, commissions before, I'm just glad to see that the commissioners recognize the importance of allocated set funds aside that is going to be available now and in the future. And getting that section between Dunbar and South Union built first, and I'd love for the other municipalities from South Union to Point Marion. I know the people in West Virginia, they are just drooling with the fact to see that the Sheepskin Trail may come about. They want to come north so bad. I have even been told that they have volunteered to provide even some funds and some equipment to help out the municipalities down on down on that end of the trail. There's also, I'm talking to Bill Beaumary's, PennDOT has been involved in planning for the Sheepskin Trail. And from what I understand, the railroad that has the property now from South Union Township will rent all the way out to Oliver. They are in the process, or will soon be in process, of abandoning that railroad, which means it will be available to the city and North Union Township to possibly utilize for the trail. There's also been planning done already to go from Evans Manor all the way to Dunbar. And that would be enough property to make that link up between Dunbar and South Union Township happen in a relatively short period of time.
Well, it's nice you're obviously taking the lead on this, and hopefully other townships that are going to be affected by this will also participate so we can get this project complete. And I know a lot of folks like myself are wondering, one, how long is this going to take, and two, how much is this going to cost? And you obviously talked about applying for some grants. What's the timetable as far as trying to get all this together?
Actually, it's taken too long already. This is something, and I know I've been a big supporter, and my fellow supervisors and past and present have been big supporters of recreation. Why we did not get on the Sheepskin Trail sooner, I don't know. I almost have to apologize to the people that we didn't do it. But I think the time is right. I think we have the involvement from local municipalities, especially from Al with the county commissioners. Everything's falling in line. We have to take advantage of this opportunity. And even though we went all these years without much being done, I think that we can make this happen in a relatively short period of time.
Al, from your standpoint?
And really, based on what Bob said, the important part about getting this trail done, getting it done in a timely manner, and especially now, I think with the additional funding that will be available, we can accelerate that process. But quite simply, it's just a teamwork effort. And with the township supervisors, the county, Donna Holdorf, and others that are involved in this effort, I think we can, make this a very viable and really enhance the tourism opportunities right here in Fayette County.
And not only tourism and the economy, also what it does for the health and wellness of the people in this county and beyond as well. It would be able great to get on your bicycle, whether you live in North Union or the city or South Union Township.
It's a lot easier when it's in your backyard and you don't have to travel that far.
And have that ability, and there are more people, bikers out there than we realize, to have that ability, just pedal down the road, jump on the Sheepskin Trail, and if you want to go to Pittsburgh or Connellsville or Cumberland or go south to Morgantown, to have that ability to do something like that would be really great and offer so much to our area and the people who live here. And Fayette County has one of the highest rates of diabetics in the United States.
Yeah, we need to definitely change that.
Yeah, and things like these trails are going to help it. It's not going to change overnight, but it's something that we should take advantage in regards to promoting and help improve the health and wellness of the people in the county.
And back real quick to the economic impact, I would think, one, the Chamber of Commerce and the Laurel Highlands Visitors Bureau, they have to be ecstatic about the fact that this could end up really coming to fruition right now.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, and I know Donna Holdorf, who's been, it seems to her like she's been working forever, and she probably has wondered at times, will she ever get to see this trail come about, considering all the effort and that she's put into to making it happen. And I want to tell Donna right now, I think it's going to happen.
Al?
Yeah, and I have to give Dawn a lot of credit. She's been a proponent of the sheepskin trail as long as I've known her, and she's very passionate and does a great job. And you know, with these things that now we're putting in place, I think that she's going to be a little happier as we go forward, because we're going to see some significant progress on this project. So
You know, she's helped enlighten me too of the importance of this project. And she invited me to attend, this is probably about 2 months ago, a meeting down in Dunbar at the Fire Hall. It's called the Sojourners. And Sojourners is a group of people, bikers throughout the United States. And I was going down there thinking, well, am I going to take my time and go down, maybe 20, 30 people there? But I did go down, and the whole fire hall where they conduct their meetings, maybe bingos and stuff like that, it was packed with people, with bikers. They were from California, Alaska, Arizona, throughout the United States. And these people bike. They do with so much compassion. It's unbelievable.
And I would think, too, if you have a new passage that's open, everyone who's a biker is going to
they're-
want to take advantage of it because, hey, they've never been there before. It's going to be something new.
And just one other thing, you know, some people, you know, and unfortunately, due to just human nature, something new, sometimes it's taken with skepticism. But these trails, and I know people say, well, who are you going to bring into my community? You know, bad people, good people. They've proven to be such friendly people. You don't even know they're there. And that is one thing from past experiences throughout the United States. Having trails in your neighborhood or your backyard is a positive, not a negative.
Yeah, and these folks are going to be traveling in from other areas. They're going to want to experience everything that South Union Township and Fayette County has to offer. And I know we're running out of time, but before we wrap up this program, I also have to ask you guys, moving forward, how can residents stay involved and find out more about the developments here?
Well, I know it's nothing I'm sure without. If anybody has any questions, just contact us here at the Township office. Also, let your local elected officials know that, especially where the trail's been proposed, let them know that you'd like to see something like this happen, and for them to get involved in the degree and manner that the Township Board of Supervisors here in South Union Township.
Now, how can we move this along countywide as well?
in addition, what we're looking for is along the trail where there's still some right-of-ways that yet have to be obtained. You know, we encourage the local citizens to form citizens groups to help us, you know, put the trails, you know, there's a couple places, especially between South Union and Point Marion, where there's some bridges, railroad bridges that are taken out or are going to be taken out. And so we may have to either build a bike bridge in those areas, or maybe do a you know, a go around. You know,
Is there a way we can find out, the residents can find a map of the proposal?
Yeah, Donna has a proposed map, and I'm not sure what her website is, but we can, you know, you probably do a Google search and find that out.
Give Al's office a call. I'm sure you can help you out.
We'll help you out, and so I encourage the citizens to get involved with this trail because it's important. You know, we can certainly use the support of the citizens and the understanding of the right-of-ways that we need to get this completed. In addition, just I know we're running short of time, but in Stewart's Crossing on the Great Allegheny Passage in Conisville, there's a ledger or a book there that A lot of the tourists that come through sign it. And if you look down through there, you'd be amazed at not only where these people come from across this country, but in countries around the world, from Europe and Australia, you know, places that are, you know, Japan, China, all over the place. I mean, so this is getting a lot of attention. One quick mention, I have to mention this. A couple weeks ago, I was invited to Falling Waters, and I had an opportunity to meet with the International Committee to consider Falling Waters to be put on the international registry, not just the national registry, which it already is, but the international registry, and that will create, you know, even that much more
Attention nationwide.
attention.
Worldwide.
Worldwide, and that's a pretty big deal, and I'm very pleased with that, and so that's really going to put Fayette County on the worldwide map.
I know I'm excited about the Sheepskin Trail, and I can tell from talking to both of you guys, it's a passion as well.
I enjoy it. To me, being an elected official, this is something that that you realize the importance, and just to be a part of making it happen is gains so much satisfaction. It makes everything worthwhile. And I do have some contact information
Go ahead.
here. This is Donna Holdorf's office. It's National Road Heritage Corridor offer. Her number is 724-437-9877, and their email address, I know the secretary there is Debbie. It's DEBBIES at nationalroadpa.org. That's nationalroadpa.org. And also Donna's email, she can be reached via email at Donna, DONNAH, at nationalroadpa.org.
That wraps it up here for Inside South Union Township. Again, we've been joined by Robert Schiffbauer, South Union Township Supervisor, and Al Ambrosini, Fayette County Commissioner, talking recreation and the Sheepskin Trail here in Fayette County. Inside South Union Township is a joint cooperative venture featuring Township Supervisors Bob Schiffbauer, Rick Vernon, and Jason Scott, Atlantic Broadband Cable, Armstrong Cable, and our friends at CUTV, J.R. Wheeler, and Gary Smith. For Jerry Dupay, I'm Brian Morozak. Have a great day.